Oh hey ASOS, you're early. Do you want to come get ready with me? Hi ASOS, it's Girli. I am getting ready to headline DTV Fest tonight. I am really stoked. It's an amazing festival with an all-queer lineup and yeah, I'm excited. Usually when I'm doing my makeup for a show, I love leaving loads of time to get ready because doing my makeup, doing my hair, choosing my outfits is such a mindful, in the zone, therapeutic time for me. I hate rushing. I do not deal with stressful situations well, so I always leave loads of time. A lot of the time when I'm on tour as well, makeup is the only time where I'm actually by myself. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of base foundation. My amazing makeup artist, Charlie Fitzjohn, basically taught me how to do my makeup because they would do my makeup on video shoots and for photo shoots and stuff, and I was like, Charlie, I don't know how to do this, you have to show me so I can do it when you're not around on tour. So yeah, I have to rub it because it's it needs a good consistency. I don't know, it's confusing. I first started questioning my sexuality when I had just got into high school. I think I was about 13, 14. I had grown up with queer people in my life. My parents had, a lot of openly gay friends, but most of those friends were gay men, and I'd never really been properly exposed to queer women, to gender non-conforming people. That was a world that I just really didn't know anything about. And I went to school and my best friend in high school was openly bisexual, which to me was such a new thing. I was like, what? These people exist? They're among me? And I remember we would stay up all night and watch this show called True Blood, which was this sexy vampire show. And she used to talk about how much she had a crush on the main girl, the main character called Suki. And I think after that, I started to think, okay, maybe attraction isn't just to men for me, I don't know. And then it kind of all changed, and this is literally the most gay thing ever, but it all changed when I discovered this band called Tegan and Sarah, who are this very gay. They're these identical twins, they're both lesbian, and they just write loads of songs about being heartbroken and being lesbian. I'd already kind of thought about the idea of me fancying women as well, but then I watched this music video for their song Closer, and it had girls kissing in it, and I was like, oh my god, this is changing my whole reality. And then after that, I think everything kind of followed suit. I really started to go out, I started going to gigs, I started meeting people of all sexualities, all gender identities. So of course the day of a show, massive spot appears on my cheek hey, I want to be on stage too. But I actually have this amazing concealer that I use with this tiny little brush where I just kind of go in on all my little blemishes and spots. So yeah, I was discovering all of these bands and I was coming to terms with being queer, and actually I have this hilarious story. When people are what's your coming out story? I have the funniest one, because I remember being in the kitchen and turning to my mom, and by this point I had Tegan and Sarah lyrics all over my walls, posters, I was watching The L Word every day, I was watching Orange is the New Black, that was my favourite show. I had cut my hair to a pixie cut, and then I was like, Mum, I think I like girls as well. And she turned around and she was like, yeah, I know. And I just thought that was the funniest. At the time I was like, what? But now I look back, I'm like, that is so hilarious. Obviously my mom knew that I was queer. People have been asking me a lot, oh, when did you come out? And actually I realized I feel when you're LGBTQ+, you never stop coming out. You always have to come out to new people, and in new situations, and a lot of the time you coming out isn't even really voluntary. You know, sometimes there are situations where people will ask you about your partner, or I don't know, ask you, you know, misgender you and you have to correct them, or, you know, there's all these situations where you end up having to reveal part of your identity that, you know, you kind of have to repeat yourself and continue explaining about yourself. And, you know, for me, like, my songs were a big part of that, because when I was writing about romance and my love life and who I am as a person and being queer, that is such a big part of my music. You know, when I started making music, I was very young, I was still a teenager, and I was definitely not as confident in my sexuality. I was still working through, I think, a lot of feelings of embarrassment and shame around it, because it still felt like it's not the norm. And especially coming, you know, from a school that was quite homophobic, and I wasn't really out at school. And then, you know, suddenly being thrust into the spotlight, and I got signed to my first label really young, and I started making music, and I was dating, you know, people of all genders at that point, and so I was writing songs about those experiences and, you know, love and romance. But my whole team, you know, during like the first years of my career, my whole team were older, middle-aged, cis, straight men, and going into like a label boardroom and being like, here's a song that I wrote about this girl, that was quite terrifying and intimidating. And so a lot of the time I would go in and be like, oh, here's a song I wrote, and either I'd have changed the pronouns to just be like he, him, because it was just easier than trying to explain my sexuality, because most of them didn't know that I was queer. And I think, honestly, developing and growing my fan base, who, you know, ended up and still to this day are like hugely LGBTQ plus, and, you know, I have such an amazing, like, very queer fan base, that gave me the confidence to actually start really talking about my sexuality and being open about it, and not being ashamed to be like, yeah, I'm in love with this girl, or, you know, using other pronouns in songs. So I really have my fan base to thank for that. So I feel like all of my shows, it's really important to me for them to be a safe space for my fans, because for me, I think gigs and clubs that created a safe space, especially queer spaces, were just so essential during my like coming out period. And, you know, even after I'd come out, finding that community was so important. You know, it was gigs that I first discovered, like, that I loved music, but also where I first met other queer people. And, you know, I think also for me, you know, being a teenager growing up in London, well, being a teenage girl growing up in London, I was harassed so much on the street, I was catcalled constantly, and I think this is such a, you know, for any woman, minority, like LGBTQ plus person, like, you've experienced street harassment, and especially in big cities like London, it's awful. And so having safe spaces was just such a relief, being able to go to gigs and feel like I'm not going to get shouted at here or touched up or, you know, made to feel uncomfortable, and I can wear what I want and I can be who I want to be. Now in London there are so many amazing you know, queer events. The thing that's really disappointing, I think, about London and the UK is that there aren't enough spaces for queer women, like permanent spaces, but there are so many amazing events that are popping up. I want to shout out some amazing people who are in the community that inspire me. Charlie Craggs is such an amazing personality, influencer, activist. She's just inspires me endlessly. Black Pepper, absolute legend. They were in one of my music videos for my song Ruthless, which was a very like Marie Antoinette post-apocalyptic vibe, and then they went on Drag Race and just absolutely slayed it, and they inspire me so much. So for this show I'm gonna do black liner as a base, and then I'm gonna do a pink like graphic liner over the top. I feel like for me makeup is such a playful thing. It's like a way of just expressing your personality on your face and body. I think also I was really like put off makeup for a long time because it felt like, oh, if you're not like really good at it, you can't do it. And I think for a long time I felt like, oh, I'm not good at makeup, like I should just let other people do it on me, or like just do really basic stuff. And I actually remember, I think it was only like a year or two ago, I bought a pack of like colourful graphic like wet liners, and I started messing around with them on tour. And you know, I have Charlie, like my amazing makeup artist, they do my makeup for like video shoots and photos, but when I'm on tour I don't have a makeup artist with me. So I just started messing around with these graphic liners, and at first it was like, it looked terrible, but then I started to have a lot of fun with it. And you know, like for me, like makeup, I've spent time in the past being so frustrated that I'm not like perfect at it, but then I realized like nobody's perfect and no one's perfect at makeup, and it's just about what makes you feel good. So like when I do my liner, like I start and it looks so dodgy and then I just use my concealer brush and I just go in and I like fix it basically. Next I'm gonna take this super hot pink and do some fun shapes. Pink, a lot of people ask me all the time, why pink? What is it about pink that attracts you so much to it? I think people look at pink and think, oh, it's silly, it's weak, it's not taken serious. And I think a lot of the time that's how people look at femininity. They're like, oh, it's silly, it's, you know, not to be taken seriously, it's weak, it's submissive. And for me, I wanted to turn it on its head and be like, pink is a really powerful color. And so femininity is really powerful, and also pink isn't feminine, it's just a color, and it's something you can, you know, use and express in any way you like. And that's the same with femininity, masculinity, you know, gender, sexuality. Like it's completely up to you with how you express that and what you do with it. And that's why for me, taking this color that has so much kind of stigma around it and using it for myself feels really powerful. And that's the same thing that I did with my name. You know, I chose Girli because that was a word that was so connected to mockery. Girli as you know, an explanation of something, you know, that's so girly. It was always, when I was in school, when I was young, it was used as like a negative thing. Like if something was girly, it was silly and, you know, kind of not to be taken seriously. You didn't want to be girly, you know, that was embarrassing to be girly. But it was also used as something, as a you know, way to call women. And actually, you know, I was talking about how catcalling was something I experienced a lot as a teenager, and people would shout out in the street, hey girly, like it was kind of used as a way to call girls and women in a really derogatory way. And I wanted to take that word and I wanted to reclaim it and be like, yeah, I know that this has been used to belittle you know, femininity and women and members of the LGBTQ plus community for so long, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to show that it's powerful. And that's the same with the color pink. I think like the way I describe my sexuality has also kind of developed over the years, and you know, I've been through so many different, like figuring out, oh, what phrase do I want to use to describe it? Am I bisexual? Am I pansexual? You know, and I've kind of landed on, at the moment, really enjoying using the term queer. I think that for me feels the most authentic to me, because it's just this general, I am into who I'm into, and that could be anyone. And you know, I love that word. I love the history of how the queer community, the LGBTQ plus community, has reclaimed that word from being a slur to being, you know, a positive word. It's time to try on the clothes and pick my festival fit. Let's get it. I'm gonna try this one on first. So, this is look number one. I am obsessed. Love these jeans. I love the like shininess, everything's shiny. I love wearing trousers. I think because as a teenager and as a kid growing up, there was always this pressure to wear skirts. A lot of the uniform policies were like girls have to wear skirts, and it felt like trousers was kind of a rebellion. I'm gonna try on look 2 and see what the vibe is. So, look 2, same top, different bottoms, different shoes, liking this energy. It's kind of mixed up a bit. These shoes I'm like really obsessed with because they're giving 60s go-go dancer. They're also from Koi Footwear, which is a vegan footwear brand that I love. I have so many of their shoes already. I'm also liking the practicality of this outfit because this is not a mini skirt, this is shorts, which is great for performing because I won't flash anyone. So yeah, I'm liking this. I'm gonna try on the last look and then decide what I want for my show outfit, so let's go. Stop. This is it. This is the show outfit. I am obsessed. It's got this like little corset vibe, which I'm so into. It's got this big star emblem, and I have like earrings exactly the same as this, which I'm definitely gonna wear. I love the print. I love that there's all these like cowgirls on it. I'm really into like cowgirls at the moment. It's great because I can like walk on stage with the jacket and then midway through the set be like, pew! I'm ready. It's amazing. Got my fave 60s go-go boots. It's giving like retro but like colourful, queer. I'm really into it. And yeah, another thing, shorts again. Practical. I love this. So I can like, you know, sing like this, and yeah, I love it. This is it. This is the show outfit. Thank you, ASOS. I love my outfits so much, and I am really excited for the show tonight. It's gonna be so fun.